Hi, I'm Robert Musa, and this is the third in a series of talks about interactive touchscreen presentations. Today I'll be discussing the marketing advantages conferred by an interactive touchscreen presentation. These advantages are well established. When you compare touchscreens to traditional media, interactive presentations are as effective as or more effective. There's a lot of existing studies that have shown a measurable impact on sales when an interactive touchscreen is employed. Now, in order to effectively compare interactive presentations with other forms of media, you should be aware that interactive presentations have 4 substantial advantages that are not normally found in traditional media. First, unlike traditional media, the sales pitch can be modified based upon the consumer's interaction with the application. In other words, you can do marketing on the fly. Now, that might sound like a possible campaign name for a Levi's promotion, but in the world of advertising media, it is a characteristic shared by only 2 forms of marketing. The first form of marketing, possessing the ability to adapt, is the salesperson. Salespeople, especially good salespeople, are constantly modifying their pitch during a sales presentation based upon the reaction of their client. Because of this, countless books have been written instructing salespeople on how to read and respond to the cues the consumer provides during his or her interaction with the salesperson. The second form of marketing, which can adjust to the responses of the consumer, is digital media. Magazine ads and billboards, they can't ask questions. Strictly speaking, they can, but I'm certain that you would agree that they are very poor listeners, even worse than my children. But with an interactive presentation, you can determine early on if the user is a male or female, child or adult, rich or poor, and you can adjust the content accordingly. Now, getting back to the advantages. The second advantage is that a digital display screen can be near the point of sale. Over 60% of purchasing decisions are made at the location of the sale. Now, unless you plan to scatter magazines or newspapers on the floor, it's difficult, if not impossible, to locate traditional media near the point of purchase. Studies have shown that digital signage is far more effective than traditional media in point-of-purchase environments. And in fact, there's an Arbitron study that suggests that 1/3 of digital display viewers made an unplanned purchase after watching a product being featured on an in-store digital display. The third advantage is that you can more easily tie a touchscreen application into other marketing efforts like social network advertising or customer loyalty programs. For example, stores have issued loyalty cards which the consumer can run through a card reader that's attached to the digital display. In return, the display prints out coupons or offers or gives on-the-spot discounts specifically targeted to that particular customer's preferences and demographics. Many organizations are evaluating social networks today as a way to gain exposure and to educate the consumer about their products. But before taking this step, you must first know the identity of the social networks where your customers congregate. In addition to its other duties, an in-store touchscreen application can ask the user to identify these networks, and then you're able to learn the most effective ones for your market. You can actually have the application itself send information directly from the application to these social networks, like Twitter or MySpace. Now for the fourth advantage, the impact of an interactive presentation is easy to measure. Now, this is unlike billboards or other outdoor displays. The consumer is either using the application or they are not. They spend time at a particular screen or they don't. They choose to view details about a product or they don't. They provide their email address or they don't. So what could be easier to measure? And you should ask yourself, what other media can you employ where the ad itself can survey its own effectiveness? Now that we've covered some of the differences between interactive digital media and traditional media, let's explore some of the other advantages. Interactive presentations engage the consumer. They're far from boring yet. There are studies that show consumers have favorable impressions of in-store digital displays and are more likely to buy a product featured on a digital display. In addition, using a digital display, it's possible to influence not only sales but also inventory levels. There's a coffee shop that recently installed digital displays, and they noted increased sales as much as close to 70% in outlets where display systems were installed. But in addition to boosting revenue, these new systems also impacted inventory by encouraging customers to buy, say, Danish sweet rolls when muffins were running low. Now, interactive touchscreen systems, in particular, are excellent conveyors also of value-added information. It's telling that one of the few newspapers not experiencing major circulation declines right now is the Wall Street Journal. In my opinion, the reason is based on the fact that the Wall Street Journal aggregates within its pages valuable information that's difficult to obtain by other means. So we know that people will seek out and pay for information they can't obtain elsewhere. If your touchscreen presentation is a utilitarian one, you need to plan on displaying information the consumer will find valuable. For instance, if you're a builder or you're a landlord, you can provide information about unit availability and also about current pricing, which is available nowhere else, or at least nowhere else in an easily accessible manner. And you can keep that information constantly updated. On the other hand, value-added information can also be added to non-utilitarian applications. For instance, if as part of your branding you wish to position yourself as a civic-minded enterprise, you can display information about local events, the results of community and local school sporting events, for instance. However, utilitarian applications often require system integration. That is, sending and receiving information from another system. A word of advice, don't design a touchscreen system that requires one of your employees to input large quantities of the same information into two different systems. Believe me, the employee will make your touchscreen system a low priority, and you will end up with a presentation containing information which is both reliable and incomplete. This will send the wrong message to your customer. Another advantage, interactive touchscreen systems can become part of the experience. You can add a game to the touchscreen. You can give the consumer the ability to send information about your product to other people. You can give the consumer the ability to create artwork that incorporates your product, for instance. Another advantage, they can reduce both actual and perceived wait time. For instance, in an effort to improve customer service, the U.S. Postal Service has combined an employee information network with a consumer network in the form of it's called the Post Office Channel. The channel is broadcast using displays mounted near the lines of customers waiting for a postal service worker. In addition to providing general information about postal services, the channel also redirects customers to its automated postal machines, and these allow customers to purchase stamps and mail packages. Studies have shown that digital signage can reduce perceived wait time by a factor of 40 to 60%. Touchscreen presentations can be used to drive customers to other locations. Sometimes your customers may be at a particular location within your business, but you want them to visit another area. Maybe you have a clearance table in a retail establishment, or you want to emphasize a quality feature in a particular location of a model home. So for whatever reason, customers are just not visiting all of the areas you want them to visit. Now, you could train a pack of border collies to move crowds from one side of the store to the other, but it would be awfully cute, but obviously impractical. For effective people herding, you can use digital signage instead. For instance, for years, gas stations have struggled with the advantages and disadvantages of payment at the pump. Studies have indicated that up to 2/3 of a gas station's customers never enter the store. I know I don't. Digital signage provides a solution, and these stores are now driving customers into the stores through the use of pump-top video to display information about and generate demand for the merchandise found in the store. So herding, informing, branding, all of these marketing functions are improved by touchscreen use. Well, that wraps up today's talk, and I've only scratched the surface exploring the advantages of touchscreens. Nevertheless, I hope you found this talk to be a good summary of some of the many advantages of touchscreen presentations. Thank you for listening.